conclusion to season 23 that was as emotionally resonant as it was narratively audacious. The CBS procedural delivered a finale that left its audience with more questions than answers, centering on the heartbreaking entanglement of family legacy and duty. Titled Sons and Daughters, the episode S23E20 masterfully wove together the story of two families, director Leon Vance Rocky Carroll, and his daughter, Kayla Naomi Grace, and Timothy McGee, Sean Murray, and his newly discovered teenage son, Mateo Patrick Kelleher. The narrative picked up a year after a devastating coffee shop bombing that nearly killed Kayla, an event that occurred while she was on a video call with her father, a moment forever frozen in tragedy. While the FBI and ATF had dismissed it as the work of a lone wolf, Kayla remained convinced it was part of a larger conspiracy, a belief that proved tragically correct when a new explosion occurred, revealing a network of radicalized young men being manipulated by a sci-fi author for financial gain. This investigation was haunted by the ghost of Vance, who had been shockingly killed in the line of duty just 2 months prior in the landmark 500th episode. In a poignant twist, the finale brought Vance back in a series of flashbacks, not just as a narrative device, but as a character, a proud father who had secretly supported his daughter's unsanctioned task force and who left behind a final letter in her boxing locker, granting her the freedom to leave Ncis to follow her true calling. These emotional reunions, culminating in a vision of Vance standing proudly in a boxing ring, were beautifully counterbalanced by the growing dread surrounding McGee's son, Mateo. Having only recently learned of his existence, McGee was eager to form a relationship, inviting him for a tour of the Ncis headquarters, where Mateo expressed interest in a cyber intelligence internship. However, cracks in the story began to show when Jimmy Palmer, Brian Dietzen, informed Nick Torres, Wilmer Valderrama, that Mateo had used a workstation to submit an application that could not be found anywhere in the system. Sensing something profoundly wrong, Torres tracked Mateo to a dark back alley, triggering the season's ultimate cliffhanger. The confrontation was tense and cryptic, with Mateo revealing he was armed and issuing a chilling warning: they could be watching. As the camera pulled back to a wide shot of the DC skyline, a single, deafening gunshot rang out, and the screen went black, leaving the fates of both Torres and Mateo hanging in the balance. This leads directly to the pressing questions you've asked. Did McGee's son shoot Torres? The short answer is that it is the leading and most narratively compelling theory. Showrunner Stephen D. Binder, in the aftermath of the finale, confirmed two crucial details that shape the answer. First, someone was hit, and second, that the wound is not fatal. Binder elaborated, "There's not a lot of fun there. When someone's dead, they're dead. It's much more interesting. I'll think back to when Gibbs shot McGee. It's much more fun when someone's alive and been shot than when they're dead." This confirmation rules out a death, but the identity of the shooter and the victim remain the central mystery. The most widely discussed theory posits that an increasingly desperate Mateo, clearly in over his head and convinced he is being watched, pulled the trigger on Torres. The power of this scenario lies in its devastating fallout, creating an unimaginable conflict for Special Agent Timothy McGee, who would be torn between his duty as a law enforcement officer and his role as a father trying to save a son he barely knows. As Binder put it, McGee is going to be all kinds of conflicted, recalling a previous conversation with Gibbs where he had to choose between his mentor and his sister. While the possibility exists that Torres fired in self-defense, the core of the drama is the irreparable damage to McGee's relationship with his son and to the trust within the team. CBS officially confirmed that no matter who was shot, Nick Torres will be alive in season 24, assuring fans that the beloved character will survive to face the consequences of that alleyway confrontation. To answer your second question, yes, Leon Vance returns in season 23, episode 20. His return, however, is not a physical resurrection but a powerful series of flashbacks that serve as a fitting, bittersweet tribute to the character. These scenes were essential to the finale's theme of legacy, showing his unwavering pride in his daughter and providing her and the audience with a sense of closure after his abrupt death. Showrunner Binder confirmed that this was always the plan, stating, "There was no way we weren't going to do it. We were going to see him either in flashbacks, or in people's heads like Jiminy Cricket." When asked if Vance could return again in season 24, Binder left the door open, saying the writers will be guided by the best stories, but that the Jiminy Cricket Vance concept is an exciting one to consider. Finally, regarding the iconic Leroy Jethro Gibbs, while Mark Harmon did not appear in the season 23 finale, his shadow and influence loom larger than ever as the series moves into season 24. For years, since Harmon's departure early in season 19, Gibbs has existed as a character off-screen, most recently narrating the prequel series Ncis, Origins. However, multiple reports and statements from the showrunner indicate a fundamental shift in how Gibbs is being treated in the narrative. According to the season 24 showrunner, Gibbs is no longer being treated as a closed chapter in the Ncis universe. Instead, his presence is being woven back into the emotional DNA of the current show. Characters will reportedly continue to reference his rules, his instincts, and his leadership style, not as mere Easter eggs but as intentional reminders that his foundation still supports everything. The showrunner described Gibbs as a symbol of the Ncis family itself, explaining that the creative team wanted emotional continuity between the classic era and the new one. The prequel series Ncis, Origins has further solidified his ongoing relevance, with Mark Harmon making appearances as an older Gibbs reflecting on his past, and CBS recently confirmed that Harmon will appear as Gibbs in a special crossover episode between Ncis Season 23 and Ncis, Origins Season 2. This marks his first physical appearance in the Mothership series since his departure, fueling intense speculation about a more direct return to the bullpen in Season 24. The ground is being laid for Gibbs to be more than just a memory. He is being positioned as a silent but active force, whose past decisions and moral code will directly shape how the team navigates the crises to come. With Vance's director's chair still unfilled, and Gabriel LaRoche, Seamus Dever, circling the position, the political and emotional vacuum at the top of Ncis is absolute. It is into this void that the specter of Gibbs looms largest, a reminder of an unyielding moral compass that the team may desperately need as they face the fallout of the alleyway shooting. The season 23 finale, Sons and Daughters, was a powerful meditation on how our parents shape us, for better or worse. As the series prepares for its 24th season, it will be forced to answer whether the children of Ncis, be it Kayla Vance or Mateo McGee, can outrun the shadows of their fathers, or if, like the team itself, they must learn to carry that legacy forward. The answers, and the identity of the shooter, await us in the fall of 2026.